local news that matters. This is a KC24 News Special Edition.
And we interrupt your regular programming right now for a special edition of KC24 News. We continue to follow a developing story tonight in downtown Fresno. 2 correctional officers were shot inside the Fresno County Jail this morning. A suspect has been taken into custody. Good evening. We're glad you're with us tonight. I'm Alex Backus. Tonight, 2 correctional officers fighting for their lives. They are identified as Juanita Davila and Toa Malama Scanlon. The suspect is 37-year-old Tong Vang. He has been arrested, and Fresno County Sheriff Margaret Mims tells us Vang has a very violent criminal history. Now, officials received a call of an active shooter at the main lobby of the jail this morning at 8:39. A few hours ago, if you were with us, you heard Sheriff Mims. She held a news conference explaining what happened in that lobby. We do have team coverage tonight on today's shooting. Janelle Bluda is at CRMC with the latest on the officers' conditions. Patrick Nelson has more for us on the investigation, but first, we go to Megan Roop for a breakdown of what happened inside that lobby this morning. Megan?
Sheriff Mims spoke this afternoon just hours after the early morning shooting, and she says this is the first time anything like this has ever happened here at the jail before for as long as she's been with the department, all as investigators continue to search for a motive.
Officer down in the main jail, 1225 M Street.
A dispatch no deputy or officer ever wants to hear. Officers down with more than a dozen people, including 4 or 5 children inside at the time in an incident that took just minutes to play out.
Everybody just getting there stuck, and this guy in there shooting like crazy.
It was terrible. It was just terrible.
Christy Rodriguez was using the bathroom.
I'm thinking, do I get down? And we were just in there for a while.
Sheriff Margaret Mims fought tears too.
Officer Davila is in critical but stable condition. Officer Toa is in critical condition.
Speaking about the 2 correctional officers shot, Mims says the suspect, 37-year-old Tong Vang, entered the main lobby of the jail at 8:30 Saturday morning.
He came in saying that he wanted to visit somebody and tried to get to the head of the line.
Officer Davila was the first to confront him. Another officer called reinforcements.
There was a physical confrontation, then shots were fired. He pulled the gun and shot them.
Both Scanlon and Davila were hit
in the head and neck area. As far as I know at this point, both were shot just once.
Mims says the correctional officers are not peace officers and not armed. Investigators say a correctional lieutenant was the one to fire at Vang, who retreated to a back hallway, eventually surrendering and held at gunpoint while Davila and Scanlon were taken out of the lobby.
They actually drugged them out of the lobby to the ambulances.
Mims says Vang was on parole after serving 16 years for a 1998 rape conviction, after gang members kidnapped and raped 3 victims ages 12, 13, and 14. Mims says Vang never violated his parole until now.
This guy is a prison inmate. He's a convict. He's a parolee. And maybe that's where he belongs for the rest of his life.
Saying her department now needs support.
Keep those prayers coming, not just today, but for law enforcement across our country every single day.
Mims says the suspect was also tased at one point. The department is still trying to piece together the timeline of this morning's events. Now, the jail is also on lockdown, so Mims says there will be no visiting here until further notice. Reporting live tonight outside the Fresno County Jail, Megan Roop, KC24 Local News that matters.
Megan, thanks so much. Continuing our team coverage right now with more on the suspect. KC24 has learned Tong Vang is no stranger to law enforcement. Vang is a registered sex offender. Back in 1998, he was convicted on multiple rape charges that included victims ages 12, 13, and 14 years old. He served 16 years in prison and was released in 2014. Now, according to Megan's Law, Vang's last known residence was near McKinley and West. Law enforcement was seen investigating investigating that residence today. And while they would not confirm Vang still lived there, they did tell us that home is connected to their investigation. So with more on that investigation, we go now to Patrick Nelson, live for us tonight from the Fresno County Jail. Patrick, what can you tell us?
Alex, in the hours following the attack at the jail here behind me in downtown Fresno, law enforcement from across the Fresno area has been busy. Take a look. The multi-agency Magic Unit was called into action this afternoon to assist with a search warrant in this neighborhood near McKinley and West in Fresno. Our crew was there as officers put up crime tape and entered an apartment building matching an address tied to the shooting suspect. Investigators worked at the scene very cautiously for about an hour, saying this search was directly tied to the shooting at the jail. Investigators did not reveal if they were searching for anything specific or exactly what was found. Some officers on scene told me they were called into work today due to the serious nature of this case, and they say after learning about the attack on fellow officers, they are doing whatever it takes to get justice for their colleagues. And back here live in downtown Fresno, there is still a crime scene at the front of the Fresno County Jail, but as far as that search warrant, that scene has been cleared. We'll continue to follow up with investigators tonight and bring you any new information that we learn. Reporting live in downtown Fresno, Patrick Nelson, KC24, Local News That Matters.
Patrick, thank you so much. And before we get into more details of exactly what happened this morning at the jail lobby, we do want to take a closer look at who these two officers are. Now, both of these officers were seasoned veterans on the force. Juanita Davila, who is now in critical but stable condition, has been with the Fresno County Sheriff's Office for 18 years. She is a mother of 2 and a grandmother to 3 children. Meantime, Officer Toa was shot while rushing to her aid. He has been on the force for 10 years and is the father of 6 children. He is known as Toa for short, but other officers affectionately call him the Rock because he's a pretty big guy. We're learning that he actually played football for the Fresno State Bulldogs as a defensive lineman back in the mid-1990s. And as we continue to follow this story, we are hoping for a quick and full recovery for both of those officers. And we have seen officials from across Fresno County stopping by CRMC all day long to offer their support. That included sheriff's employees, family, and friends. Our Janelle Bluta has been at CRMC all day. Janelle, what can you tell us?
Well, Alex, both Davila and Scanlon are being treated here at CRMC. Now, we did just talk to a family friend who said Scanlon did make it through his first surgery, but he still has a ways to go. However, they, of course, are very hopeful. Now, Davila made it out of surgery a few hours ago. She is in critical but stable condition. Local law enforcement have been coming by the hospital all day showing support. They say an attack like this hurts everyone. It's been a somber but hopeful day here at Community Regional Medical Center. Local law enforcement of every kind stopping by to show support and solidarity. Among those, Fresno County District Attorney Lisa Smitkamp and her team.
These are very hardworking people that dedicate themselves to protecting and serving this community, and for them to be ambushed like this in the course and scope of their jobs is just absolutely unacceptable.
Fresno County Supervisor Henry Perea says he was getting updates on his phone. He says it was important to him to be at the hospital.
I mean, these are our officers, and as a county supervisor, at the end of the day, we, along with the sheriff, and we're a family. And when one gets hurt, we all get hurt.
Sheriff Mims says it's a time for the community to come together.
So this is a very sensitive time for the members of the Fresno County Sheriff's Office. Of course, we're all praying for their full recovery, and I ask that the public at large do the same.
Now, we're all patiently waiting for updates on those 2 officers. Stay with KC24 for the very latest. Alex, back to you.
Janelle Bluta live for us at CRMC tonight. Janelle, thank you so much. And both of those officers, of course, put their lives in harm's way today, as they do every day, doing their jobs. And as the scanner communications during that incident showed us, it was a very chaotic scene in downtown Fresno today. KC24's Connie Tran shows us those tense moments.
The police scanner traffic really paints a picture to the urgency of the moment in which it was critical to get the shooter down and the victims out. It was around 8:30 in the morning. The Fresno County Jail was about to turn into ground zero.
Be advised, have an active shooter at 1225 M Street. officer down.
Sheriff Margaret Mims says 18-year veteran Juanita Davila was shot first. You can hear the stress of dispatchers directing officers.
Units be advised, all units in service respond. Code 3, officer down in the main jail, 1225 M Street.
The suspect named as 37-year-old Tong Vang.
Asian male, gray sweat, white flip-flops, copy.
Then Correctional Officer Toa Malama Scanlon jumped in to help.
Toa, as he approached the suspect, was then shot. Additional jail personnel responded, including a jail lieutenant.
Mims says that jail lieutenant was the only one in the jail at the time with a firearm. He shot at Vang before Vang finally dropped his weapon.
Suspect is still inside the jail. Copy, suspect inside.
Other officers swarmed the jail to get Davila and Scanlon out, stress in their voice.
We're going to get EMS code 3 to the front of the jail. Bring him to the front of the jail. Copy.
He was held at gunpoint while other law enforcement personnel pulled the two victims out of the lobby to awaiting ambulances.
In the scanner traffic, you can also hear officers say that there were children inside of the lobby. Sheriff Mims says there are about 15 people in total inside. In the newsroom, Connie Tran, KC24 Local News That Matters.
Scary situation, Connie. Thank you so much. And it has been a tense few months for law enforcement all across the country. Back in July, 5 officers were killed by a gunman during a Black Lives Matter protest in Dallas. Just 10 days later, 3 police officers were killed in an ambush in Louisiana. Now, while Tong Vang's motives are still unclear right now in this Fresno County Jail shooting, that is, of course, the big question right now. Fresno Police Chief Jerry Dyer is speaking out today in the wake of more violence.
Has it become more dangerous working in law enforcement and the criminal justice system these days? Has the climate changed?
I don't think there's a question in terms of the dangers presented to officers out in the street today. It has increased significantly, and there appears to be an increased willingness on the part of individuals in our society to attack officers, to stab officers, to shoot officers. And today we saw that. And it's unfortunate that we have a society like that. Individuals that are willing to do that.
Do you think that there's any way to anticipate this kind of situation or prepare for it?
Well, I believe officers are. Maybe don't anticipate these types of incidents, but they are prepared. The training we provide our officers prepares them for these types of incidents. We equip our officers with the weapons that they need, the protection that they need, ballistic helmets, ballistic vests, ballistic shields that they carry. We provide them with long rifles in order to respond to an incident. The mere fact that earlier this year I deployed members of our SWAT team, what we refer to as Delta, out in the field. They were also working today and responding to this incident, but was for the very reason of attacks on officers and active shooter investigations. And we know that those have become a reality in law enforcement. It is not a rarity. It is something that has become the norm.
And so the Delta team specifically addresses threats or potential danger towards law enforcement or your officers?
The Delta team is designed to be out in the field to provide an immediate response to incidents where officers are under attack of gunfire, or if there's an active shooter incident that occurs in our city. In this incident, that is exactly what occurred. There was an active shooter and an attack on correctional officers with firearms. That's the purpose of that team.
And be sure to stay with KC24 for continuing coverage, and we will have more tonight at 11 o'clock and the latest anytime on our website, yourcentralvalley.com. A big thank you to all of our reporters today for their great coverage on this incident. Well, still to come here on KC24 at 6:30, we are following more developing news right now out of Fresno County. A wildfire threatening homes and prompting evacuations near Pine Flat Lake. We have those details. First, here's John.
Thanks, Alex. And here's a quick look at your pollen forecast brought to you by the Allergy Institute and Dr. Amaminian. Pollen levels will continue to peak in a high range over the next 4 days. Your full forecast is right after the break.